Hello, I'm Angela.
And I'm Marie, the second half of this mother and daughter team.
Welcome to Chakra Checkups.
We're here to guide you on your quest for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment.
Hello.
Hello.
So it's been a wild year, and you wanted to kind of do this episode and talk about everything that happened, kind of an end of the year recap of 2022.
Well, it has been a fabulous year, and it has been a wild year. And there have just been so many great things that happened this year. And of course, one of the big ones has been the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I actually had never heard of a podcast. This is going to probably shock people, but I didn't even know what one was.
I mean, that was one of my favorite stories that I tell some of my friends, is that you did a reading for our family friend Chip, and he has a podcast, and he asked you to be a guest on his, and you called me up all excited, and you're like, Angie, Chip asked me to be on a podcast. And I was like, that's awesome, Mom. And then the next thing that came out of your mouth was, what is a podcast?
Exactly. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And of course I love doing it with Chip, and then you had this idea to do some, and we've been doing it, and I think this is great. It's a great media. It's a great way to get things out there for people.
Yeah, I think you have that part backwards, though. This was all your idea. Initially, I was resistant because I was like, that sounds like a whole nother job for me.
Well, however that happened,
Yeah.
it's a whole new world.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. Yeah. I mean, now I really enjoy it, but initially I didn't even want to be a host with you on it. So, full turn tables on that one, but now it's been really amazing actually to work on it with you.
Well, I appreciate your struggle, and I'm sure there are other people out there that appreciate you struggling along with it too.
Yeah, it was just the initial 2 episodes was a struggle, but
Yeah,
we're good now. But
it's getting better.
yeah, but like let's start from kind of the beginning, because you weren't even doing readings last year. I mean, I remember you doing them when I was in high school a lot, and then you took a break from doing them, and I really feel like me and you were just chatting on the phone, and it was just one of the conversations that I had with you of like, why aren't you doing this anymore?
Well, it wasn't so much that I wasn't doing it at all. It's just that I'm in such a remote location taking care of my 93-year-old mother that it's almost impossible for anyone to find me.
Yeah.
On a rare occasion, I'd still connect with someone. And I had never in my lifetime made any effort to have a, a site up or to do something like a podcast or anything like that. I had pretty much worked just with doctors' referrals and things. But since I have been taking care of Mom almost since about 1975, it's just been more and more difficult to be out there and connect because I don't have the time really to leave where I am. So when you mentioned the idea of a site, I thought, well, that might work. I had no idea even how to make a site. And so really, again, it came back to you. You put up the site, and
Well,
I,
yeah, I mean, you had initially said like, if there's, like, I'm not doing readings, and if you have a couple friends or somebody that wants a reading, then you would do them. And I mean, there's such a large group of women in the town that I live in that are all about spiritual healing and personal growth, that I was like, are you sure? Because you're gonna be really busy.
well, and now it's like the old days. So now we're talking about, I guess it was around in August that we started, and it's
No,
about
the
100
site went up in May.
in May. Okay.
Yep. So
And
we did the site in May, and then you've done how many readings since the site was launched, do you think?
I can tell you exactly how many. 152.
Nice. Yeah.
152. So that's a big change.
Yeah, and more trickling in every day, it seems.
Right. So, and that's been fabulous for me because one thing I've seen, and I was just contemplating that the real difference between, again, I'm really seeing the difference between 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and now, the dynamic difference in people that I'm doing the readings for. I'm also seeing the dynamic difference in some people, how quickly that they make changes when you mention something to them about their chakra system. We have had people, good friends of yours, Angie, that I'll tell them something and how to change it. And within 2 or 3 days, they're like, okay, now I'm lucid dreaming and I'm
Yeah.
walking on the astral with my master, and he taught me this and he taught me that.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
that,
I mean, I know quite a few of my friends have turned into your biggest fan for sure.
well, and that isn't really about me. I think it's about how dynamic the the new this generation is, and the time where we are in the whole timeline right now, and
Well,
what
I think it's partially that, but then also there's so many people that are making a lot of claims in the spiritual realm that don't have a lot of information or experience to back it up. And so I think to really talk to someone that like really like it feels like you're looking into someone's soul and stuff and being able to tell us stuff that we don't even know about ourselves. So it's easy to hear that and then have it like almost instantly confirmed with the things that you do know about that are going on with your body. And then you're like, whoa, and this is what I'm capable of? Like, okay, like game on, let's go.
exactly what some people have done.
Yeah.
And we have just seen some amazing and dynamic changes in people in days, not weeks or months, but in days. And we have seen some incredible healing in just a month or two of people that were incredibly sick,
Yeah.
just just falling apart, incredibly sick. So that, to me, that's just wonderful because that's what I believe in. My goals in life are to create light, to help alleviate suffering, and to do random acts of kindness. That's what I am all about. And so when that's happening out there, I'm happy. That's what I want to have happen. And the podcast have been really helping that to even happen more rapidly because we've had 800 people listen to at least one podcast, or 800 listens.
900 now. We just broke
900.
900.
So
Yeah.
that means I don't have to say the same thing 900 times. and,
Yeah.
and that's really great. I can see where this whole podcast thing has got potential. People don't realize when they talk to me, I'm 70 years old. So I was born in 1953. I'm very old school.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to use the smartphone.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well, I mean, I could go on and on with all of our tech issues and what we have, but to give people a little bit of a reference, I bought you a mouse for Christmas, a wireless mouse that just has a USB port to plug in, and you plugged it in and you told me it didn't work, and you just did not move the mouse to check.
well,
So,
there was no light, nothing that came on. So I thought it was supposed to do something.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, it does something when you move it.
point taken.
But yeah, baby steps. We're doing baby steps here
Baby
with the tech
steps.
world, but we've got
The
her figured
chakra
out.
world, the entity world, that's not a problem for me. This
Yeah.
tech stuff, it's a little bit more complicated, much more complicated than chakras or ghosts or entities. That stuff's simple.
I think many people would disagree with you on that. And
But, when you mention people getting the wrong information, yes. And you know what? To those shaman or faux shaman, as I call them out there, shame on them when they are giving the wrong information. I had just a couple weeks ago, or maybe less than that, someone come to me that went to a supposed shaman who told them they actually took their chakras out.
yeah,
And
because there was an entity and they needed to be removed, right?
they literally told this woman that he took out 4 chakras, but he left her 3. And whoever you are out there, shame on you. Shame on you. You bad, bad boy.
Right. And so, if anyone's trying to tell anybody else that their chakras need to be removed, just tell us why. Why is this false information?
Well, first, that's like saying you're going to take out the light of a star, or the pinpoint of or the origin point of creation. It can't be done. A
Yeah.
chakra is an energy point of generation. It's the point of where you generate energy in your body. It isn't a physical thing like you're going to take it out and throw it in the chakra compost bin. No.
Yeah.
It's a point in your body where you generate energy from there out.
Yeah.
And as long as you're alive and generating energy, positive or negative, it's going to be there. It's
Yeah.
impossible to remove. And even I've mentioned to a few people this chakra removal, and the people with the most rudimentary sense of chakras all started laughing. I mean, it just is the most absurd thing. But it's just sad that there are that kinds of shaman out there. And that's part of the reason that we are doing the podcast. And that's part of the reason that I did decide to go more public and come out there, because that kind of thing just shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
On the bright
Yeah.
side,
And
I can put them back for half price. Good grief. Taking out somebody's chakra. Oh, and I can't even imagine what this person probably paid for that. I don't even want to know. I didn't ask her because I would probably have a complete fit. But
yeah,
at
I
any
mean, there's a lot of healing and stuff for, these package deals of doing one thing or the other. I think a lot of people try to go to people because they are feeling lost and hear someone that's saying that they, can help you in X, Y, or Z in some way. But like, how do we pick out the people that are real and the ones that are maybe not like complete fakes, or but just less experienced, or yeah, like are getting false information of healing out there.
Well, when I tell people they're navigating through the psychic world, I tell them this: trust very little of what you hear, half of what you see, and all of what you feel.
Hmm.
If someone has a big story, the bigger the story, the less I'm likely to trust them.
Yeah.
And if you have a feeling that what they're saying just doesn't feel quite right, you are probably right on. It isn't quite right.
Hmm.
Everyone has good intuition. We're born with that. That is our gift from spirit to help protect us. And everyone has angels that will help you to channel good intuition to keep you safe. So when someone comes along with this great deal, how they're going to, I don't know, wave this around and put hot rocks on you and do whatever they're going to do, rub you from head to toe with mud or whatever, and it's going to do whatever it's going to do. Trust your intuition.
Hmm. I think that
because
was one of my biggest takeaways for this year for me is to start trusting my intuition a lot more than I have been. And
it's very important.
it's working out better so far.
Yeah. Isn't that one of those memes that you showed me? Someone had a box of red flags and said, I'll date it for 6 months anyway.
Oh, I mean those are some of my favorite to repost of I think the one that I might have sent you was like I thought we were playing capture the flag or something.
But it is sad that there is very inaccurate information out there, and there are people out there that they want you to come back for many, many sessions because they want to do it for a living and they're afraid that they're going to not have enough business.
Yeah.
I had to go on, I had to have you set up this appointment app to uh limit how many appointments we can get at a time, otherwise I would be completely buried. So we're not having any problem with enough sessions. Um
Yeah, I mean there's I don't know how many billion people on the planet, but there's plenty of people out there.
and I never get to zero these days. I've never run out of, I always have somebody that wants a reading. I always have 4 or 5 or 6 people in a line. So I don't think that anybody should be afraid if they're genuine that they're going to not have clients. I think they should trust their intuition and be willing to say they know or they don't know and get out there and do their best to actually heal people.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that I'm running across that's interesting this year. A lot of people that are very, very advanced and they are not willing to get in the game.
What do you mean
They
by
they've got the best chakra system. They've got everything you would want to be a really top-notch healer or shaman, and they don't want to have anything to do with it. They just, well, no, I know I can do all this, but I don't think so. I think I'll just be an accountant or I'll be whatever they're doing
Yeah.
and play football with my family on the weekends. And part of that, I think, is because the whole spiritual business has gotten such a bad rap that they don't want to be part of that. They don't want to be in it. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of my personal beliefs have lied as well of growing up with you and kind of knowing like at least in my heart what is real and what is true and then people that claim to be doing similar the same things I'm just like nope, I know that's not accurate, that's not how it works. And yeah, finding it hard to want to be in some of those circles of people that are, spiritual beings.
but on the other hand, there's also areas and stuff where there are big spiritual groups and stuff growing. And another great thing about this year for me and I think for a lot of people is discovering there are hot spots, spiritual hot spots out there in the world, and Todos Santos definitely seems to be one of them. I think that I have never come across such a strong concentration of very advanced spiritual people.
So, yeah, and you think about that as just being like this town, Todos Santos, but I'm kind of wondering just statistically if that's areas that have more sunlight and are maybe more remote or more of a third world country place. Like I think if you look at the countries with the happiest people in the world, you are going to find the ones that are closer to the equator to be the happier populations. And I'm wondering if those are just the areas where these hot spots are, is that people are enjoying their life in an everyday stance a little bit more.
I'm not sure that it's about enjoyment. What I'm talking about is just some phenomenally really advanced people gathering into a very tight area
Hmm.
and a very high concentration. Out of the people that I've done in Todos Santos, there's an enormously high amount of very, very powerful people. Now, I've been doing groups, in Colorado and LA and different areas. It's more just spread out like you would expect. Some people good,
Right.
some not so good.
I guess where I'm getting to is that the reason we are all here is because we gravitate towards a less traditional lifestyle to begin with, and we all want to be warm and we want to be able to go to the beach.
Well, there are a lot of beaches in the world, but
Yeah.
I don't suspect that every population on every beach is going to be a similar demographic.
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
really
I guess
do.
I just see like places like Bali also being some sort of a hot spot. I know that you haven't done a lot of or any readings in Bali, but I wonder if you started to do that, you would see a similar pattern.
I don't know all those people in Bali. Come and get a reading from me. Let's find out.
We'll find the other hot spot through process of elimination of my mom doing readings on the billions of people on the planet.
I don't know, but I do know that Todos Santos is definitely one.
Mhm.
Definitely, there's something going on there, and it isn't all over in Mexico, and it isn't Cancun. It's Todos Santos. So there's something, definitely something.
Another thing that came up in conversation recently, which I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm wondering if you can myth bust this. I was on the beach talking to a friend, and he heard a story of a guy that got a heart transplant, and then the person that received the heart transplant started having food cravings that he didn't like to eat beforehand. And so he actually tracked down the family of the donor and started talking to them. And then the foods that he was craving were foods that the person that donated his heart like really enjoyed through his lifetime. So as you're saying, like chakras are energy centers, do you think some of that could be passed on through that kind of surgical?
Well, this probably won't make me very popular, but from what I've seen and what I've seen regarding energy, I am against body part transplants
Mhm.
because I've seen too much energy that can be trapped in physical, even physical items, even uh, jewelry items, and certainly and things like wigs and things that you would think would be so unimportant.
Uh,
Even clothing, an old coat from somebody can have so much of their energy that it can make someone sick or affect their mood or affect their environment. But definitely what you're talking about in terms of having a heart or a kneecap or something like that, uh, an eye in from somebody else, that energy can definitely affect you. Even if you don't feel the effect, you still in reality have entered into a contract with that person and
mhm.
their soul, because to the degree that they are connected to that energy of their body, and have or have not let it go, then you are also connected to that until that's resolved.
Yeah,
So if you have a transplant with a person that's completely energetically clean, that could all go really well. If you had a transplant from somebody that had tremendous amount of issues, um, maybe not so well.
right.
And personally, if I was dying and they said I needed a kidney or something, I'd say I'll go ahead and die and come back and work it out.
Yeah, which is yeah, just fascinating because I mean, it does save like a lot of people's lives, but and to me, I mean, thinking like, oh, I take on one or two of these person's problems, then with the right knowledge, you could clean it up after.
And that's might be possible. It's very likely that, I mean, you're going to work it out at some point.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's good to think that through from that point of view and decide how much of that you're willing to do and how much you're not. I personally, this is just personal, and I'm not saying what anybody should or shouldn't do. I personally would not want to risk changing my path because I took somebody's whatever body part.
Hmm.
And I would not be willing to be a donor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not for selfish reasons, because I would love to save anybody's life, but I would not want to be trapped into some sort of energy on the astral. I spend a lot of time on the astral dealing with people very intimately and very consciously in various different situations and helping them work through it. And I'm not convinced that having a transplant is always a clean piece of energy. I don't have a lot of evidence one way or the other. So, I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but following my feeling, mm, I'm I'm come down on the side against it at this time.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought it would be, I hadn't heard of anything like that happening necessarily. And I was wondering if you could just share some insight on it. So I think things like that are pretty fascinating to think about and consider.
But I do notice that things in a household, that things that people have worn, people things that have people's little tiny hairs or skin on it still have their vibration. And that's one thing you can think of before the end of the year. You want to end your year well, get rid of everything that, if it's around from somebody and you don't like it, get it out of your closet. Get rid of everything that has a vibration from some old relationship or something that you don't care about anymore, because you'll be surprised when all of that stuff is gone out of the house. The vibration changes.
Yeah.
It definitely does, because there is energy in all of those things.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely kind of makes me rethink even like secondhand shopping to some degree.
Absolutely.
But
And I don't even like to give my old clothes to Goodwill. I mean, I want to help people again, but that makes me feel a little weird about having them wear my clothing too, old clothing. Unless it's just something super great, then I'll have it cleaned, dry cleaned really well, and pass it on, because I just, again, I don't want to link to somebody and set up a relationship
yeah.
with them
Yeah.
energetically. So, you might think, well, maybe they stabbed you in the heart, so you had to go get their heart. And you could look at it that way too. It's a complicated issue.
Yeah. I guess to wrap it up, we have somebody who wrote in a question on Instagram uh,
Okay.
from Kelly. She says, "I'd love to hear how your mom suggests finding a soulmate or if she believes in soulmates."
Um, okay. One of the things you can do to help you to find your mate is to ask your angels to draw an energy line around you that will keep anybody that is not right for you away from you. The other thing is to give up anybody that you're hanging with that you know is not right for you. You
Hmm.
can't, you can't fill a box that is already full. So you can't find your soulmate while you're hanging out with somebody that you know darn well is the wrong person for you.
Hmm.
So decide that you're going to be available. Then ask your angel to draw an energy line to attract to you the perfect person and keep away anybody that you should not be with. And then in your mind, start to actually picture this person. Feel them out there. If they're out there, if they're in reincarnated at this time and available to you, you should be able to feel them. Literally hold your hand up and say, do I feel them? Are they really out there right now? Because they may not be out there for you. It's an interesting thing. Basheen, who I had spent some time with, this psychic that was probably more of a mentor than anyone I ever had, when she was, I think it was when she was 20, she went to a psychic and said, when am I going to find my soulmate? When am I going to get married? Or is it ever going to happen? Because in Brazil, to not even be married at 20 was pretty old. And the psychic said to her, definitely you're going to find the right one, but he hasn't been born yet.
Hmm.
20 years later, she met this 20-year-old
Yeah.
and they got married and they have a fabulous relationship and he is the right one for her. And they had a little son. I met the son, I met the husband. They're all very happily married, a happy family. So sometimes there can be circumstances such as that.
Yeah.
So
So how,
trust your feeling.
how do you know? How do you know someone is the right one? How do you know if they're out there?
Hold up your hand, go into a meditation, hold up your hand, put it out there and say, feel it. Is he out there? Can I feel him?
Yeah.
You will know. You got to learn to trust your feeling. You
Yeah.
may have to do it more than once,
Yeah.
but you can feel it.
Okay.
It can be done.
It can be more meditation practices before bed. All right.
Another great thing that happened this year, I always love it when they're instantaneous healings. And I was giving a lot of thought to this actually just today, because there have been times in my life where there's just a sudden and instant healing from an angel when I'm working on someone, or in this case, it was an animal. I have a friend that she has a beautiful dog, and the dog suddenly took a rapid decline. And it was interesting. The day before I found out this dog was sick, I saw the dog on the astral in just his soul body, just a white, all white like an angel, romping around. And I thought, the dog's name is Jade. And I said, Jade, what are you doing? And it was just running around in this field and ran up to me and was having this wonderful time. And then I thought, oh my goodness, Jade is going to die, or maybe it's already dead, because why is it here without a body running around in the astral? So I went to see my friend, and she said the dog was very, very sick. She took the dog to the vet, and the vet said the dog had a major tumor, and the tumor just ruptured, and the dog nearly bled out. And they had her overnight, gave her some transfusions, and sent her home. And the vet said, well, you either have to remove her leg, and then she'll probably die, or just spend a day with her, and we'll put her to sleep. And I went to see her and I put my hands on her and I thought, I do not want this dog to die. And as I said that, these two little blue lights and this white light leaped into her. And I went back the next day and this dog looked like she was 5 years younger. The lump was gone. She bright. She leaped up. She was not to not look sick, to not act sick. Her coat was shiny, like shiny gold. She's a kind of a yellow orange dog, and she was just happy and bright-eyed and looked great. And I'm like, how's she doing, Carol? And Carol said, she's doing great. She looks great.
And weeks later, got to meet Jade, and she just seemed like the happiest, like healthy, normal dog. And
I know. And today I take gifts to people because of my random acts of kindness. I brought Jade a pack of organic hot dogs today, and Jade just leaped up and walked home with me, walked a couple blocks, and just as happy as can be. Was very happy about the hot dogs. I fed her a hot dog and left the rest of the package there, and she's doing great. I mean, the vet said she was going to live 2 days max, and it's been weeks, and the dog looks fabulous. So all I can think is that I think sometimes when you really, really want a healing, when this has happened a few times for me. I'm not taking credit for this. I think the angels, when I just refuse to have someone be ill or I refuse to have someone die, the angels somehow respond to the fact that I love them so much and I don't want them to die, and they just heal them.
yeah,
And that happened to a gentleman once for Brazil. It happened to my best friend Donna, who had so many tumors. I just said, "No way, you can't die," and she didn't. And this in this case, Jade.
yeah.
Don't everybody line up and bring your sick dogs here. but, uh, but you could all do the same thing. Put your dog and say, "No way, I don't want my dog to be sick,"
Yeah.
and you know, and think love and light, and maybe the angels will do the same thing.
Yeah.
There are miracles.
Yeah, and you're just making them happen left and right.
I'm not making them happen. I'm just an extension cord. The angels making them happen.
Yeah. Always a good reminder that anyone is capable of doing the same thing, right?
Anybody can say, "I don't want my dog to die."
Yeah.
Ask their angels to heal them, for
Yeah.
sure. That's one thing I want to make sure everybody understands. I don't think anything that happens around me is just because of me. It never is. We're all the same.
I think some people would just argue that you're more connected and so it's more accessible for you.
Well, maybe I'm more practiced,
Yeah.
but then that's only just practice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing of being like anyone can paint or anyone can be an artist or anyone can pick up an instrument and learn. Is that some people are like, I could never do it. And then really when it comes down to it, it takes a lot of time and practice to get there.
Except that I have noticed sometimes when it comes to miracles or comes to, there's an energy about being emphatic that sometimes makes things happen in an instant.
Yeah.
It's like you just get into a space of there's no other acceptable outcome.
Uh-huh.
This dog, I do not want this dog to die. That's was my thought at that moment. It wasn't like, oh, I hope this dog lives. It was just it was a thought with no other acceptable outcome. And sometimes when you have that energy, things happen. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
You don't sound too convinced.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay. And that can happen with finding your soulmate.
Yeah, I think you just tend to always leave me a bit speechless and overthinking that and as we have these conversations often, I'm like, okay, how do I implement that? Or like that's something to really take to heart in my own thought process when I'm trying to do things for myself is that it's like it's not a question.
Well, I mean, on the lighter side, when I took your grandma, she wanted to go into the casino, the Seven Feathers Casino. And as we were walking in, I said, you know what? Probably Lady Luck isn't a concept. I mean, isn't just a song. It probably actually is a kind of an angelic being. And
Uh,
so we should just have Lady Luck rain down gold energy on us, and we should go in there and we will just win. And that's what's going to happen. And we went in, and I put $20 in this machine. It was a $1 bet machine. And I pushed the maximum bet, which was $5, and it went bing, 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 bing right down and won the jackpot,
yeah.
and which was $4,000. And then you have to wait and wait because they have to go get people and everything. They can't just give you the money. And
Yeah.
so while they were doing that, I went to the machine right next to it and won $900. And then I had to wait for that one. It was sort of annoying. And then I went to another one and I won a jackpot on that one.
Yeah. Annoying only for the casino owner, mom.
Well, anyway, but the thing, it was the same thing. It's the same type of energy, just emphatic. There wasn't like another option. Just picture it.
This
This
is
is
what
the way it is going to be. There is not another option. And go put your $20 in.
yeah.
We walked out of there with $6,000 and we weren't even in there 10 minutes.
Yeah, amazing. That was this year.
No, that wasn't this year, but it was fun.
Yeah, well, maybe you should get more often.
So that's something someone could do at the end of the year. Try that one out.
Yeah.
Maybe you could go into a casino, win the big jackpot, turn around and find your whatever
Soulmate.
life soulmate
Yeah.
who wandered in there because they needed to make a phone call or something, and then give them $1 from your win for the phone call, and you'll be fast friends.
I don't think anyone's paying for payphones anymore, Mom. I don't even know
Oh,
they
there you
exist.
go. See,
But
it's
I
going to
do.
be a long time before I got this whole technique down.
Yeah.
Maybe next year. There's hope for 2023.
2022 version, maybe somebody's phone has died and you've offered to let them borrow your phone.
Anyway, the point is that it's intention and it's focus. And probably if there's anything that I have that other people think they don't have, it's that I do have a very good ability to focus my mind when I decide to.
Yeah.
And that may be the big difference
Yeah.
between me and whoever. One of the things that I I was reminded of over and over again this year is people's desire to be more abundant. And I'm learning more about that. You're learning more about that. And the thing that it all comes down to is precision planning. There's more to being abundant than just saying I want to be abundant. Uh,
Yeah, because what does that really mean anyways? Like abundant in what way? So if you're asking for a vague
it's
thing, you don't really know what to get back, I guess.
it's incredibly vague. Someone said to me the other day on the phone, "I want my angels to make me incredibly abundant." And I said, "Well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. You could get you could get home and have 10,000 rubber bands. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It could mean everything or it could mean nothing. And angels can only do what you ask them to do. So they're not going to know what that means. There's a lot of leeway in that. You could
Yeah.
say, I want a car, and a child could hand you a plastic car.
Yeah.
That's very not Pacific. But
It's kind of like when someone says, "Show me a sign," and it's like, well, what kind of sign would you like to see?
exactly, exactly. And then you get a notice that your job is being discontinued. Um,
Yeah. So we don't want to wish that on any of our listeners. So,
right. So it helps, it really helps when you have goals, you want abundance, to be very clear about what you want. Put in as much details. And if it's not working, add more details. Now you were telling me about your show that you were doing.
yeah, I did a jewelry show that was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday show, and I think I'm really good at materializing things in the material world, and so I went into the show being like, I want to make, $1,500 in jewelry sales, this weekend, and then I kind of got cheeky with it, and I was like, no, I think I want to make like 2,000. And so the last day I had about 1,500 and there was a few hours left, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna stay here because like I said I wanted to make 2,000 and I that's what I want to do. And by just like 30 minutes before the end of the show, it was like $2,050.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the good materialization. Be clear. Your angels know exactly what you want, and then that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that before where shipping can be hard from Mexico. And so I remember someone doing a shout out to one of the community group chats that I'm in, and they said, I would be willing to take any packages up for someone. And I kind of looked at my phone and I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I don't have any, online sales. What a waste to have this person go up without any packages for me. And put my phone down, and a couple hours later had a sale that came through online, and I was like, oh well, great, now I can send one with them. So
Exactly. I was reminded when I had a massage business and I had rented an office, and I was worried about covering the cost of this rent in a with my massages, and I had no appointments. And I walked out onto the street, um, and I just looked up at the sky, and I raised my fist and I said, I need appointments and I need them now. I want them right now. And then I went back in the office, and 10 minutes later, the phone started ringing. And within a half an hour, 6 people had called me for appointments.
Yeah.
And that is what you need to do to materialize. You have to be very specific about what you need, when you want it, how much you want it, as many details as you want, and as many details as you can put in, as precisely as you can put it in, with everything from the color, the size, the range, everything. And then your angels can work with you, and the universe can work with you, and you can have the abundance that you would like to have. It can happen.
But then, so mom, does that need to be something that is actually like a tangible thing? Because, there is the lottery and stuff, and you're like, I want the winning numbers, and a lot of those don't happen. Is it in the way that you decide and that you believe you can get there that partially makes it like happen?
One thing I do know about things that have happened for me is that there is an energy not of wishing and hoping and sort of mewling, sad, I can't have anything and I wish it would happen sort of energy, but more like a stomping my foot and raising my fist to the sky and saying, this is what has got to happen.
Yeah.
And
Just being even more decisive about it.
very decisive, and like a bolt of lightning just goes out from you, and like, this is how it's going to have to be.
Mhm.
And my friends that, like my friend Donna that I talked about, that I was determined that she get well, and and the dog Jade that I was determined they get well. It was also that type of energy. I think the people that become miraculous healers, they have that kind of focus and that kind of energy. They're putting that out. I think angels can really grasp those kind of messages and run with that. That is what you want to do, and that's how you want to focus your energy for both your material world and for your spiritual world and your healing ability too. Uh, I've I've told the angels that I need something better. I need it sharper. I need people to be able to feel it 3,000 miles away. I need it to be fast, and everything in my realm of my healing ability has greatly improved since I've been more demanding about that and more precise about what I want.
Mhm.
So that's the idea, is determine what you need and want to have so that you will be abundant spiritually and physically and mentally, and put that out there and ask for that. There's no reason you can't have what you want.
Yeah, so I guess in some ways it's almost like because you have to believe can have it, then it has to be more of a tangible thing that you believe in, that you deserve and can have, that it's, instead of like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like wishing for the lottery is like the more specific and more tangible you believe you can have, the more likely it is to happen with that decisive thought pattern.
Yes, yes, and I think the more you get used to doing that, the more you're able to ask for things that you maybe didn't think you were going to be able to have at
Yeah.
your time. So you get more courage.
Mhm.
You develop your courage, you develop your ability to focus that, and you broaden your horizons as to what is available out there for you,
Mhm.
because there is a lot out there that's available for you.
Yeah, you just have to believe you deserve it, right?
You don't even have to deserve it. I don't know anywhere that says you must be deserving. I haven't seen that written anywhere.
Yeah.
That that again, that's a limitation that maybe people put on things that I don't know. I don't ever think of I want to be a healer if I'm deserving. I think I want to help people and come on, angels, make that happen.
Well, I guess I'm not thinking about it in that way, but for the people that think they don't deserve to have things and then continue to not have very good luck.
Well, that certainly, if that's what they thought, that would certainly hold them back. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think in order to be abundance, you just start being precise as to what you do want and what you think you can have, and ask your angels and start to put it out there and watch your world change.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everything is available to you, the tips of your fingertips, so to speak.
If you can imagine it, if you can see it, picture it, see it, say it, you can have it.
Yeah.
So let's imagine an amazing new year.
Yeah. Go into the
Imagine
new
it's
year imagining all of the things that are going to go right this year and all of the things that you want to have in as much specific detail as you can picture.
exactly. Write that out in your book, right? Start writing those details down.
Yeah, I mean
Fun.
that's all of the, the secret of manifestation is writing it down and picturing it in your mind and start making things happen.
Feel it, picture, see it, say it.
Yeah.
Let's make the world a better place.
Sounds good.
I hope everybody has a fabulous 2023 and everybody decides to generate more light to help their neighbors heal, to help themselves heal, and to do random acts of kindness. Look around you and see what you can do for someone who least expects it. Doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I hope everyone has a great new year and a beautiful beginning, middle and end of 2023 as it's coming up and manifesting bigger and brighter things for our future.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Mom.
Okay, bye.
Bye.